Hello everyone, my name is Martha Radzimirska. I am doing this video because I want to openly discuss about my experience on in a hospital, some time that I spent there. And basically, I want to kind of try and alert people about how the healthcare system is broken, and we need to try and kind of put our forces together to really try and fix it. Okay, so here it goes. So my story starts with my father, who had a really bad PTSD. He was kind of like a Holocaust survivor, and because of his experiences, he was a pretty crappy parent and very impulsive and very abusive. And so, yeah, so he grew up and married my mom, and they had kids. They had three girls. I'm one of them, and so because of the way I was raised, a very unstable environment, I developed a lot of trauma, a lot of psychological issues. I had a nervous breakdown when I was a teenager, and as a result, I spent a lot of time in the hospital, in and out of hospital, and so one of my experiences was I was medicated heavily because they said, oh, well, there's something wrong with your brain. So you need this medication because there's something wrong with your brain. I put a lot of faith in one of my doctors. I don't know why I did that. I just thought maybe she could really help me. She was a woman. I thought she could understand. Um, Also religiously, I thought she would understand me. I don't know. I had some reasons, and I put a lot of faith in her. Um, Also, maybe I was naive. I really needed her help, and I thought she could really, really help me. So for many, many years, I put a lot of faith in her, and she just told me to take this medication, that medication, always take medication. Um, she didn't really, get to the root of the problem. She didn't really listen. She was overworked. She was stressed. She had a family of her own. I didn't really know her story, but she was a doctor and she was busy, like most doctors are. And she just gave me, like, I just kept on telling her my story that I need help here. I didn't have money at the time. I was on ODSP and I barely had any money to scratch a living together. So I put a lot of faith in her. I thought she could maybe help me. And so anyway, so one time I was in the hospital, I was medicated, and some really crappy stuff happened to me. Um, I was miserable, and I've never been violent in my life. I've just been. She gave me a number of diagnoses, and she just said, "Oh, well, you're off now. You should stay in the hospital." And often she would admit me in the hospital when she thought my thinking was off, or I was just being super out of it, or whatever her idea of that was. So one time I was in the hospital, and for some reason, I'm not sure who put this order through, but I was tied down, strapped down to a hospital bed for a long time, and I was freaking out, and I'm like, please, mom, dad, somebody, can I call somebody? I'm freaking out. I don't want to be stuck here." I was like having some serious anxiety panic attack issues, and they just kept on coming in, and they injected me with drugs, they sedated me, and it was a pretty horrible experience. And I don't know who put the order through, because I was never violent. Why would they need to do that to me? Like, I don't understand why that happened, and to this day I still don't. So I had another experience in the hospital, a different hospital. I was very medicated, and I was so this was like in and out of hospital, medicated for pretty much 20 years of my life. Um, and because I didn't have much money, there really isn't much help in the healthcare system in Canada that helps people who need it. Like, that, it doesn't really give them the right kind of help. And so I really wanted to get to the core of the problem, and I really wanted to help myself. I was sick of being sick, sick of being on medication. So, part-time basis, I struggled through university. I got a loan, struggled through university, barely graduated, got a degree in psychology, part-time, and I started to look at my problems internally. And I discovered through reading dozens and dozens of books, research about my type of issue, where does it come from? What is it? I discovered it pretty much stemmed from trauma from the way I was raised. Well, that seemed obvious, right? So, pretty much diagnosed myself that, my brain problems were all affected by my trauma and the way I connected to my parents. This attachment that I had with them was very malformed. It was very, very sick. And it's like, think about it though, like you're a child, you want to trust your parents and they hurt you. That trust, that bond gets screwed up and it really screws with your brain. And it screws with your lifestyle and how you form relationships and how you live pretty much. So I pretty much diagnosed myself and yeah, it's a second generational trauma, PTSD, and it's curable. So, so fast track 20 years later, I have my degree, barely on any medication now. I have a different doctor. I'm much better. And I gotta say, it was a huge learning experience about the system and how they deal with people like me and mental health issues in general. Like they just overlook people who are just acting weird, or yeah, the behavior is weird when your attachment style is messed up, and you will behave differently. You will have anxiety, you'll have panic attacks. Things will freak you out unless it's properly dealt with. So it's got to be dealt with. The system needs to do something. And the sad thing is, I put so much faith for 20 years in this one doctor, and I thought, okay, well, she's got fancy medical degree. She was a psychiatrist, and I thought, wow, well, maybe she would know. She would really know. She's like put so much time and effort researching this, and I'm like, no, I figured it out for myself because I wanted to help myself. Like, what did she do? She made it worse. She made me waste my life, and I've suffered because of her. Well, she was a contributor. Other issues were as well, but oh, and the system needs to be fixed. We need to look at the root cause. I looked at this article just today. The doctor's name was, I think his name is Dr. Gabor. He's pretty famous. He's an amazing physician. He has a lot of really great insight. He talked about the brain and ADHD and how it's affected. And he basically said, diagnoses, that labels we give to people are very damaging because it just says, it's very circular. It just says, oh, well, you have bipolar, so because your brain is screwed up, and it's just your brain, it's just the way it is. Because you have bipolar, and you have bipolar because it's your brain. It's very kind of like, it doesn't explain anything. That was basically his take on that. And usually all these mental health illnesses usually stem from childhood and how you were raised and your environment, and like the nature nurture thing, it's your environment and it's your makeup. For me, I always felt I was super affected by my PTSD because I'm one of these I was always considered like super sensitive, like compared to like all my other sisters. I've always been really sensitive. But think about it. If you're sensitive and you're raised in a good environment, you flourish. You're just sensitive. You're just more aware of your sensations. But if you're raised in a crappy environment, the sensitivity, the darkness, the maladjustment becomes accentuated even more. because you're so sensitive, you feel more. And that's what highly sensitive people are like, and that's me. So, um, a lot of people I find I would recommend people with mental health issues to really delve into helping yourself. Like, go to the library, go on the internet, research this stuff to death if you want to help yourself. Get off that crazy medication. I was medicated for so long, and I kept on going back to my doctor complaining, no, like, oh, I was abused and my dad was in the war and this is what happened. And she's like, oh, your brain, it's just, oh, here's more medication. Like, I just felt she really didn't listen. And I put so much faith in her because I thought, she's a doctor. She must know, and she wants to help people. I'm not saying she didn't, but I mean, seeing it, looking back on it now, like, she was way overworked and she just threw medication at people because it seemed like an easy fix. And I know a lot of doctors probably, most likely, do that in the system. And it's really sad because it doesn't help, it damages people. And I mean, I wasted so much of my life and I suffered so much because of what happened. I feel the right thing to do is try and change the system and try and be a right fighter and do what I can to fix it. So, yeah, so that's about it. Yeah, I don't know what else I should add, but yeah, it's obviously I'm a lot better now. I'm like, I feel mentally myself now, I feel, yeah, I'm still a little weird, but who isn't? Like, neurodiversity, we have to be acceptant of that. Like, there's so many strange people in this world, but we somehow live in this beautiful city and we somehow get along. And as long as we're, civil to each other, don't hurt each other, we can get along. And I've always been like that, and I don't understand why all this crappy crap happened to me. I know I'm laughing about it now, but it needs to be fixed, and my story is very sad and very tragic. And yeah, I'm really concerned about other people that I've noticed with mental health issues. I see a little bit of myself in them, so yeah. Okay, well, that's it for now. If you have anything to add or any way you feel you can help, um, I don't know if you want to get together with me, contact me, find a way to change the system. If you have any ideas how we can do this all together, that would be great. Please contact me. Okay, thank you.